Have you got the Sterling video ready? The Arsenal fans will eat that up after looking at the headlines on Twitter. We could potentially clip it out of this and just upload it.
And just, yeah.
But that would be not very good, and there's no graphical overlays for it.
Michael could work his magic.
Not on Saturday, he couldn't.
Oh, yes, he will. And on time, too.
And she's with a NFL player, if I'm not mistaken. So I think she's more focused on...
Oh, Raheem Sterling and Arsenal. We've actually got a bomber.
Put the bomber down.
Get the bomber graphic.
Keep your conspiracies coming in, guys. I'm enjoying this.
It's not a bomber. It's a pre-bomber.
Oh, it's a pre-bomber.
Yeah, but I'll take it. Raheem Sterling, according to 𝗕𝗫𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏, Raheem Sterling and Arsenal. Agreement between player and Arsenal now in place.
Okay.
Now, the update on this before was they were exploring options to make it happen, but as yet, no agreement between club and player, and no agreement between club and club.
Can I just clarify? Does the window slam shut at 11 or midnight?
11.
11?
11.
So there's not much time.
11.
There is not much time.
So, Sterling has an agreement with Arsenal in place. He wants to move. Would now be a good time for me to tell you why I think Raheem Sterling to Arsenal, brilliant bit of transfer business.
Go on then, take it away.
All right, I will. Raheem Sterling to Arsenal. We've talked about him a couple of times on this stream already. He's not become a bit of a joke, but certainly the accusations of a drop-off, of a fall in form, of a regression in ability, they have started in earnest during his time at Chelsea. That's rubbish. Raheem Sterling is a fantastic footballer and should have been, probably were it not for his move to Chelsea, a shout for England's record ever cap holder.
Yeah, good shout.
I think he had a chance of doing that. Maybe still does. How old is he? I don't know.
29, turns 30 later this year.
Yeah, still plenty of legs left in him. Right, so Raheem Sterling. I'm going to show you. Johnny, could you put up the first graph I sent you? This is kind of how Raheem Sterling plays, right? He was at Manchester City, largely under Pep Guardiola, where he was kind of a bit of a moments player. When Aguero played, he effectively became a bit of a second striker. When Aguero didn't play, he actually became the de facto striker. And you saw during his time at England, he played a very similar role with Harry Kane. Harry Kane was a centre forward. Raheem Sterling would float around and look to finish moves. He plays in a team that's technically very able and creates a lot of chances, but Sterling doesn't really do that. He doesn't want to drop. He doesn't want to get involved too much in the build-up. He gets into optimum positions for scoring goals and takes them. Now, he's never been a great finisher. Adam, I'm sure you'd agree with that.
Yes, only at the back post.
Never been an elite finisher.
No.
But I would argue...
He's not even a good man. He's not a good man.
He's not a good man. No. However, what he does have that few players possess is almost unrivaled movement within the box.
Correct.
He puts himself in positions where he can almost never
He's got a sixth
miss
sense.
the chance. As I would go so far as a seventh or eighth sense. That's how good at them he is. You put him through in one-on-one situations or give him chances that you expect elite centre-forward to take, he doesn't take those, and it's where a lot of the criticism of him comes from. And he scores so many tap-ins because that's actually where his strength is. It's in his movement, his ability to find that space where another centre-forward takes a defender away to find that. And if you look at these numbers, that kind of sort of backs that up. He carries the ball, but he doesn't touch it in the middle of the pitch. He doesn't touch it in the defensive third. He just gets involved in the final third to finish off moves. Now, Chelsea, as we already discussed last season, let's get rid of that graph. Chelsea, as we already discussed last season, they were not a side capable of putting on a lot of chances for a centre-forward. They did supply a bit to Nicholas Jackson, but by and large, the majority of their chances, the majority of their goals, they came about through individual endeavour. Cole Palmer doing things, players doing things. It did not suit Raheem Sterling at all. But the numbers you've just seen, they were still his numbers from last season. He was still able to get involved in the final third, still good at take-on, still good at going past players, still that classic Raheem Sterling. Now, Adam Monk, do you remember which season Raheem Sterling scored the most amount of goals in his career?
2018 to 2019. No, 1920.
Yeah, he actually got it. That's really good. Yeah, 2019, 2020.
Yeah, it was the year of 2019 that he scored like
He
50
got 31 goals in all competitions.
Yes.
Now, how many players do that ever?
Not many.
Not many.
That's Mo Salah numbers.
That's Mo Salah numbers. And again, not because he's an elite finisher, not because he was the main man at Manchester City, but because his movement around the box for finishing chances was so good, he put himself in a position 31 times where he simply could not miss. Now, doesn't work at Chelsea. But Arsenal are a different team entirely. And Arsenal, if we just go to the pitch here, please, are very much still in the mould, in my opinion, of that old Guardiola side. The pre-Haaland era, where their centre-forward's not really a centre-forward, and they are reliant on dynamic movement across the pitch to create chances. Now, I think if Raheem Sterling goes to Arsenal, I don't think he starts. I don't think you're bringing him in there to improve the first 11. But Arsenal last season, the games where they fell down were the games where Havertz movement outside the box and Saka coming in here, possibly Trossard going in there, Declan Rice making these runs, all of this stuff was insufficient to break down determined low blocks and back lines, because without a dedicated centre-forward, without a natural sort of finisher in all this, Arsenal can struggle. Now, we saw Leandro Trossard really step up coming in from the left-hand side and finding himself in optimum positions to take chances. Now, he's not a natural centre-forward, Leandro Trossard, but he was doing very well in those roles. Now, I put it to you, Adam Monk.
Go on.
If you put Raheem Sterling in that left-sided position and you had him perform that role that Leandro Trossard was doing, the team's already camped in their own box. It's already a case of just, can you find the space and can you finish off the chance? Raheem Sterling is almost as perfect a profile of player as you could possibly want. Not in an open game, not when it's tied, not when the game's going back and forward, but when Arsenal have got the other team penned in, they need a goal desperately. Raheem Sterling floating around the box, finding those pockets in between the players for cutbacks, for loose balls.
Do you know what I would argue? So I think Trossard, maybe he'd get more goals from those situations. Sterling, maybe the best player in Premier League history in those situations at winning penalties.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Yeah, that as well.
Sterling goes down and he wins them.
I think Trossard is an overall better finisher.
Absolutely.
In the way you would expect a classic centre-forward to finish chances, which has obviously been Sterling's historic weakness. But I think purely on that movement, getting into the box, floating around, not worrying about your role coming in from the left, just making sure you are in the right position when that ball falls. I don't think there's any players in the Premier League better at it than Raheem Sterling.
Yeah. I can get on board with that. I'd like to. So, Cool Running Media, he's basically said that you're chatting Patty, Adam, again. But
that's good. We decided that was good, though. We decided Patty was good. Thank you.
He said he did nothing for us at Chelsea, but he's talking about his time at City to reply to you. He's talking about the time at City and how Arteta and his system at Arsenal is akin to Manchester City's old system, which Sterling was in.
If we could just bring up the second graph for you here.
Boom.
The eagle-eyed amongst you may notice that that's barely changed one little bit. In fact, that looks like the exact same bloody graph. That is because Raheem Sterling is still the exact same player. The only thing that's changed between his time at Manchester City and at Chelsea is that the overall goal-scoring numbers have dropped right off because the chances being created for him no longer suit the kind of player that he is. He still gets on the ball in the right part of the pitch. He still carries it well. He still progresses it well. He still receives a lot of progressive passes, meaning that he is getting into good positions up the pitch and being found by his teammates. I think that Raheem Sterling going to Arsenal would be good for Raheem Sterling, probably getting back in the England side. And I also think there are going to be times this season where you will look at Arsenal packing out a box, being camped around the opposition area, having all the players making these runs, doing these things. You saw it loads last season and getting absolutely nowhere. I think there will be moments in that season, decisive moments potentially, where a Raheem Sterling type of figure, like for example, Raheem Sterling, would get that goal that Arsenal can't normally find.
I'd agree with that. He's also proven it at City. He had so many clutch goals in that Centurion season. Last minute against Bournemouth, Southampton, Huddersfield. All late daggers.
Well, all those Arsenal fans that I've met, we'll get rid of this, all those Arsenal fans that I've met IRL who've been like, do you think Arsenal need a striker? Look in the mirror, my friends. You're living it. This is the striker. You're not going to go buy a 40 goals a season centre forward who's going to change your entire outlook on football and change Mikel Arteta's entire season. What you can get is somebody who, in those clutch moments that you think might cost you the league, will pop up at the right place at the right time. Raheem Sterling does that. And it's no coincidence that he does it so reliably. I am all over this. And I'm not just all over this, by the way, because it feels like the only interesting transfer that's going to happen at all across the rest of the evening. It's not disingenuous. I would be excited about this regardless of what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, no bomb.
I feel like I'm being unnecessarily intense here.
What does this mean for Martinelli? A few people are asking that.
Oh, God, it's a good question. Obviously, as we've talked about already with Arsenal's options at the back, Jurriën Timber, Calafiore coming into what is already a fairly settled back line. They've said they don't want to let 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏 go, so he's going to be there. Technically, if you think Timber's more or less there to play left back, Arsenal now have 4 choices there when you think about it. Because 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓, you're not going to usurp. There's no reason to change Ben White, although you could, I suppose, rotate him with Timber depending on the situation. But Calafiore's there, 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏's there, Timber's there.
Zinchenko is still.
Zinchenko's still there. Arsenal have the biggest glaring weakness of any of the teams who are threatening for a title this year, and that weakness is depth. They have been, in my opinion, so fortunate with injuries the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, we saw how tired Bukayo Saka looked at the end of last season. Like, Declan Rice run himself into the ground. 𝗕𝗏𝗓𝗏 run himself into the ground. They play every single week. And if you look at Man City last season, they lost Kevin De Bruyne right at the start. He missed, what, 3-4 months?
Yeah.
Fairly
Came
substantial
back in
chunk.
January.
But the thing about being injured, right, so long as it isn't the kind of injury that affects the way you play and affects your body, you actually come back incredibly refreshed. You've had a great break, if nothing else.
Yep.
And Pep Guardiola's proven several times in the past he's not afraid to rotate things, to drop players when he needs to. He gives the players the breaks they need. But Arsenal simply do not have the quality outside the first 11 to be able to do that and still think they're going to challenge for a title. 𝗕𝗏𝗓𝗏 almost always, I've got them in the wrong formation here, silly me. 𝗕𝗏𝗓𝗏 has to play, Declan Rice has to play, depending where he is. Bukayo Saka has to play, Saliba has to play, Ben White has to play. Like, there's not got the options outside of that. But now, Calafiore, Timber, you can start to make these little changes here and there. Gabriel Martinelli, absolutely fine. Sterling, absolutely
Got to
fine.
remember, they got 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗏 as well, who just underperformed on an individual basis last season, really.
I would argue, I'm just going to try to do this in my head now, right? A second Arsenal 11, right? Neto, just come in now. Tomiyasu.
Yes.
Tomiyasu.
Timber.
Let's say Timber left back, Calafiore centre back, 𝗘𝗫𝗧𝗏.
Yeah.
You could go with that. Alternate number 6, Partey, probably come in.
Partey.
Jorginho, whoever you don't particularly want to play. Smith Rowe would have been great for this, but obviously they've sold him. Who's your 2 other 8s? They're struggling for that 8 position, aren't they?
Yeah, they're struggling for that 8.
Okay, well,
𝗕𝗏𝗓𝗓𝗏
let's skip that.
They did have Fabio Vieira, but he's just gone.
He's just gone.
So
let's say, who on the right then?
I think Sterling could play that. I don't think you made a case for that.
Yeah, we could, yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So Sterling,
Done the byline.
Martinelli,
Yeah.
Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
You're missing really 1-8 there, and you've got a really solid second 11, I think, for the first time since Arsenal have been a title team.
I'd back that.
Maybe they're missing an 8, but they've certainly got Marino. Sorry, we forgot them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Marino's not going to get in that first 11. So, yeah, I actually think Arsenal now have got the kind of depth you need to go and win the league. So,
We've
yeah.
also got Ethan Ŵanieri coming through. He is meant to be
they love him, don't they? Yeah,
good
they
in the
love him.
academy.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, Marino. How are we saying it?
Ŵanieri.
Ŵanieri,
yeah.
Not like Claudio Ŵanieri.
Yeah, Marino Ŵanieri.
Right.
Yeah, a couple of Arsenal
Great.
fans.
That's the Raheem Sterling thing. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, joining us here on FourFourTwo. The subscribe button is there. I don't know whether it's worth commenting on streams. This is entirely out of my wheelhouse. But that has been one of the weirdest transfer deadline days I have ever seen. God bless you, Jadon Sancho. All the best, Raheem Sterling. And my condolences, Victor Osimhen. We are leaving now.
Bye.
Goodbye.